In 1990, the movie Home Alone made millions of families around the world laugh. But 35 years later, looking back, we realized that behind those smiles was a cruel fate. Some people drowned in fame too soon, and sudden deaths rocked Hollywood. Can you guess who they are? Let's discover the shocking truths behind this children's movie classic. John Hurd as Peter McAllister. At the age of 44, John Hurd played Peter McAllister, the father, in the classic Home Alone, 1990. His role as a desperate, helpless, yet full father searching for his son Kevin made him an iconic Christmas character on screen. 2 years later, at the age of 46, he returned in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, further cementing his reputation as a clumsy father. But few people know that behind the smile of a successful actor hides a violent storm in his real life. John Hurd was born on March 7, 1946 in Washington, and his personal life was marked by marital tragedies. 3 marriages led to 3 divorces, the most painful of which was his relationship with actress Melissa Leo. The romance quickly ended, leaving behind a bitter legal battle for custody of their son, Jack, transforming Hurd from adoring on-screen father to helpless father in real life. He was accused of assault, stalking, and even trespassing, cases that shocked the public and destroyed his reputation. The more isolated he became, the deeper he sank into mental chaos, living with anxiety and a suffocating sense of abandonment. It was this spiral of suffering that made the once beloved man even more tragic than ever. On July 21, 2017, John Hurd was found dead in a hotel in Palo Alto, South California, just 2 days after undergoing spinal surgery. The official cause of death was a sudden heart attack. He was 71 years old. Strong painkillers were found in his body, but they were not the direct cause of death. At the time, Hurd was valued at 3.5 million kronor, a modest sum considering her career spanning nearly 5 decades. Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister. Macaulay Culkin became Hollywood's brightest child star when, at the age of 10, he played Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, 1990. A mischievous boy left on Christmas Day, with a penetrating look and an innocent but mischievous smile, was forever etched in the memory of millions of viewers around the world. 2 years later, at the age of 12, Culkin reprised his role as Kevin in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, cementing his status as the golden child of American cinema. Behind the bright screen, however, a dark childhood quietly consumed his life. Macaulay Carson Culkin was born on August 26, 1980 in New York. The third of 7 children, Culkin lived in a small apartment in Manhattan. Poverty and instability cast a shadow over his childhood, but the biggest pain was caused by his own father, Kit Culkin, a domineering, jealous, and aggressive man. Macaulay later admitted that his father was often violent and controlled every aspect of his life. While the world celebrated the boy who played Kevin, Macaulay was just a child in that small apartment, terrorized by his father's wrath, forced to act in film after film, becoming the breadwinner of the family. At the age of 15, unable to take it anymore, Culkin did what few could have imagined. He sued his parents to regain control of his estate, which is estimated to be between $15 million and $20 million. But this victory only confirmed that his childhood was completely stolen from him, replaced by loneliness, psychological trauma, and scars that never healed. Macaulay Culkin is now 45 years old. After years of scandal, drug addiction, and a failed marriage, he found peace with his partner Brenda Song and their 2 young children. Although his career never returned to the heights of his youth, Culkin's fortune is estimated at $18 million, and he owns a house in Los Angeles and an apartment in New York. Jerry Baman as Uncle Frank McAllister. At the age of 49, Jerry Baman appeared in the 1990 film Home Alone as Uncle Frank McAllister, a stingy and grumpy uncle who made the audience laugh. 2 years later, aged 51, he returned in 1992's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, cementing the miserly uncle as an unforgettable character from the classic series. But the bright lights of the screen couldn't dispel the quiet darkness that enveloped his real life. Jerry Baman was born on September 18, 1941 in Independence, Kansas. His marriage to director Emily Mann appeared to be stable. However, after many years, their life together fell apart painfully, ending in a bitter divorce. The unfortunate end not only deprived him of his family life, but also damaged his relationship with his only son, Nicholas, a rift that deepened over the years. Avoiding his family, Baman devoted himself to work, but his career focused primarily on supporting roles. Financial instability constantly haunted him, turning his life into a series of stressful and desperate days. Furthermore, decades of smoking as a means of escape gradually destroyed his health. Behind his serious on-screen persona, Baman was in reality a broken man who struggled with loneliness, illness, and emotional exhaustion. In December 2024, Jerry Baman died at the age of 83 from complications following a sudden fall, shocking the public. He died peacefully, with a modest fortune of about $1 million, consisting only of a house in Los Angeles and a few old cars. Joe Pesci as Harry Lime. At the age of 47, Joe Pesci played Harry Lime, a cunning, impulsive but witty thief, in the film Home Alone 1990. His character, along with Marv, became a terrifying and hilarious memory for millions of young viewers. 2 years later, at the age of 49, Pesci returned in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, cementing his image as a bumbling but memorable criminal. While audiences laughed at Harry Lime's antics, Pesci himself experienced unimaginable personal tragedies. Joe Pesci was born on February 9, 1943 in Newark, New Jersey. He grew up in a poor working-class family of Italian immigrants, with a father who was a forklift operator and a mother who was a hairdresser. However, the real pain in his life was his relationships. Pesci endured 3 failed marriages, each of which left deep emotional wounds. The most painful for him was his marriage with actress Claudia Haro, whom he considered his destiny. After the divorce, Haro was convicted in the sensational case of attempted murder of another ex-husband. Although not directly involved, Pesci was caught up in the media storm, and his reputation was tarnished by a terrible scandal. The man who won an Oscar for his role in Goodfellas now faced public scorn and distrust. He was fierce and tough on screen. Off screen, he was a lonely man, constantly withdrawing from Hollywood, exhausted by the pressure and personal pain. In 2025, Joe Pesci was 82 years old. He chose a secluded life, far from scandals, appearing only sporadically in rare projects such as The Irishman, 2019. His net worth is estimated at $50 million, including a luxury mansion in New Jersey and a collection of expensive cars. However, none of this makes up for the loss he suffered in real life. John Candy by Gus Polinski. John Candy played Gus Polinski in Home Alone, 1990, a jovial Polish prince who helps Kevin's mother return home in her 40s when she is desperate. In a brief supporting role, he created one of the most touching moments in the film. While the audience laughed at his humor, the real Candy struggled with hidden pain and a body increasingly weakened by the disease. John Franklin Candy was born on October 31, 1950 in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. Tragedy struck his father, who died of heart disease when Candy was just 4 years old, leaving a void in the boy's heart that would never be filled. Without a father, Candy grew up in a poor, working-class Catholic family. He dreamed of becoming a professional soccer player, but a serious knee injury when he was a teenager ended those dreams and left him without help. The physical injury quickly turned into a mental one, leaving him with a constant sense of failure and insecurity. As he grew older, he increasingly struggled with weight gain, anxiety, and panic attacks. The pressure of work, the busy schedule, the habits of overeating, smoking, drinking, and even cocaine consumption gradually destroyed his body. Candy was married to Rosemary Hobor and had 2 young children. But the pressures of illness and work left his home filled with sadness. He tried diet and exercise to avoid the genetic fate of heart disease, but the shadow lingered. On March 4, 1994, at the age of 43, John Candy died suddenly in his sleep in Mexico of a heart attack while filming Wagons East. His sudden death shocked the world, especially since he appeared on the set the day before in good spirits. Candy left behind approximately $10 million in assets, including a home in Toronto and numerous movie memorabilia. Fans continue to leave flowers and photos of Uncle Buck and Home Alone on his grave at Holy Cross Cemetery in Los Angeles. It is a painful reminder that he lived to bring joy to millions, but he eventually passed away alone, leaving an irreplaceable void in the hearts of his fans. Eddie Bracken as Mr. Duncan. At the age of 77, Eddie Bracken starred in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, as Mr. Duncan, a friendly toy store owner and a symbol of generosity in the bustling metropolis of New York. Although only a minor character, his portrayal of a compassionate man left a deep impression, becoming the highlight of a career spanning more than half a century. Edward Vincent Bracken was born on February 7, 1915, in Astoria, Queens, New York, into a working-class family. From the age of 9, he performed on the vaudeville stage to support his family and fulfill his dream of becoming a performer. His seemingly happy childhood was actually filled with difficulties. Eddie's first marriage quickly failed, leaving him bitter and disillusioned. He later found stability with his second wife, Connie Nickerson. However, even in this stable marriage, Bracken faced deep conflicts. On the one hand, the applause of the audience. On the other, his family life, often neglected due to his busy schedule. He later admitted with regret that he had let his career take away from precious time with loved ones. The applause of the audience did nothing to alleviate the loneliness when the curtain came down. On November 14, 2002, Eddie Bracken died in Glen Ridge, New Jersey, at the age of 87, just 3 months after Connie. Their deaths led many to believe that his heart had stopped beating under the weight of loss. He left behind about $2 million in assets, including a small house in Glen Ridge and numerous stage memorabilia, a life full of laughter on the screen, but behind it tears that few know about. And yet, 35 years have passed. Home Alone is no longer just a legendary Christmas movie. The film became a mirror, reflecting the true tragedies of the same people who once made us laugh to tears. Among these famous faces, which story is closest to your heart? Leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to join us and discover the untold stories behind the Hollywood glitz. Kieran Culkin as Fuller McAllister. At the age of 8, Kieran Culkin gained worldwide fame with his role in Home Alone, 1990, playing Fuller McAllister, a bespectacled cousin known for bedwetting. This seemingly insignificant role has become a classic in the history of family films. 2 years later, at the age of 10, Kieran reprised his role in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, once again associating the Culkin surname with innocence, youthful charm, and a subtle touch of poignant realism. Kieran Kyle Culkin was born on September 30, 1982 in New York as the fourth of 7 children. He grew up in a cramped apartment in Yorkville, where the family squeezed into a space barely big enough for the couple. Instead of a nurturing childhood, Kieran endured the harshness of his father, Kit Culkin, a failed actor who took out his bitterness and jealousy on his children. Kieran later recalled how he was abandoned, treated like a burden, and received nothing but genuine love from his mother, Patricia Brentrup, who supported a large family with her calloused hands. The lack of material goods, combined with psychological abuse, turned Kieran's childhood into a struggle for survival, in which his mother's love was his only refuge from the pain his father inflicted on him. These psychological wounds have not disappeared with the years. Kieran struggled with personal relationships, plagued by fears of abandonment and loneliness. Although he found love with Jazz Charton and started a family with 2 young children, he admitted that he still harbors a fear of being a bad father, like his father. Kieran also struggled with mental health issues. The more the spotlight shined, the deeper the void in him became. Sometimes he even considered giving up completely, as his painful past haunted him, preventing him from fully enjoying the present. Kieran Culkin would be 43 years old in 2025. He is still one of the most respected Hollywood actors, with a huge career and numerous prestigious awards. His net worth is estimated at $5 million and consists of a house in Los Angeles, an apartment in New York, and luxury cars. Daniel Stern as Marv Merchants. Daniel Stern became an integral part of the childhood memories of millions of viewers when at the age of 33, he played Marv Merchants, the clumsy but lovable thief in Home Alone, 1990. Playing the character alongside Joe Pesci, he delivered an exciting yet hilarious chase scene that scared the crap out of the audience and brought tears to their eyes. 2 years later, at the age of 35, Stern reprised the role in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, cementing his timeless portrayal of the mad thief. While audiences remember his high-pitched screams and clumsy antics, in real life, Stern suffered injuries and hardships that few could have predicted. Daniel Jacob Stern was born on August 28, 1957, in Bethesda, Maryland, into a working-class family. His father worked in social services, and his mother ran a kindergarten. At first glance, it seemed like a stable home, but deep down, Stern felt helpless and constantly worried about the future. His marriage was also turbulent. Stern married Laura Matos in 1980, and together they raised 3 children, Henry, Sophie, and Ella Marie. However, family life was far from ideal. The pressures of work, constantly changing roles, and the constant rush to Hollywood often kept Stern away from home, widening the gap between him and his family. He also suffered a financial crisis after investing heavily during the dot-com boom, which derailed his career and fortune. Accounts, marital disputes, and public pressure often brought him to the brink of despair. Stern once admitted that he sometimes felt like Marv, awkward, unsuccessful, and the target of the world's ridicule. Daniel Stern is 68 years old today. After all the chaos, he decided to retire and find peace on a ranch in Southern California, where he spends most of his time with his family, tending the vineyards and writing. His net worth is estimated at $20 million, which includes a house in Malibu, a collection of luxury cars, and a large estate in California. Devon Rattray as Buzz McAllister. At the age of 13, Devon Rattray became one of the most unforgettable faces in cinema, playing Buzz McAllister, Kevin's arrogant and aggressive older brother, in the film Home Alone, 1990. The teenager irritated and entertained the audience at the same time with his gruff appearance and sarcastic one-liners. Just 2 years later, at the age of 15, he returned in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, once again cementing his place in the audience's memory as the iconic, irritating older brother. But while audiences laughed each Christmas, Devon entered adulthood with dark shadows awaiting him. Devon D. Rattray was born on January 11, 1977 in New York, in a family of artists whose parents were actors. Although he seemed to have a solid foundation, his childhood was not easy. Devon grew up constantly compared to his parents, and with strong expectations that he too would succeed on stage and screen. His early fame brought him notoriety, but it also robbed him of a peaceful childhood. While other children his age had the freedom to play, he was forced to stand in front of the camera, expressing imagined emotions rather than his own. This pressure sowed the seeds of psychological chaos, transforming him into an impulsive and volatile young man eager to prove his worth. These internal struggles intensified as he grew older. In 2021, Devon made headlines when he was accused of strangling his ex-girlfriend in a hotel room in Oklahoma after an argument. According to the documents, he put his hand on her neck and uttered the chilling words, "This is how you die." The incident led to criminal charges and a wave of public criticism, but the pain did not end there. Just 1 year later, in 2022, an investigation was launched against him for the alleged rape of a longtime friend in 2017, after he allegedly drugged and sexually assaulted her. Despite his denials, mounting scandals dragged his career down the drain, and his depictions of violence and corruption became synonymous. His comedic roles were overshadowed by shocking scandals. Now, at age 48, Devon Rattray has practically disappeared from Hollywood. He lived modestly, keeping to what little privacy he had left. His net worth is estimated at $400,000, a pittance compared to other stars of his time. He owned a small house in Los Angeles and several cars, but his chances of returning to the top were doomed. Robert's flower as Old Man Marley. At 66, Robert's Blossom became an unforgettable face in film history for his portrayal of Old Man Marley in Home Alone, 1990. A lonely old man, at first misunderstood as scary, eventually emerged as a silent hero, touching and moving audiences around the world. In just a few short scenes, Blossom has built a deep character, reminding viewers that there is always an untold story behind those sad eyes. But what resonated most with viewers was the fact that in reality, Blossom's life, played by Robert, was also filled with loneliness and loss, eerily similar to that of the character he portrayed. Robert Scott Blossom was born on March 25, 1924 in New Haven, Connecticut. He grew up in a working-class Catholic family, but his childhood was marked by tragedy from an early age. At the age of 4, his father dies of heart disease, leaving the family in a difficult and unstable situation. The trauma left him with a lifelong fear of loss. Blossom sought solace in marriage, but both of his marriages, to Beverly Schmidt and then to Marilyn Orshin, ended in disappointment and divorce. His second wife died in 1982, leaving him with a grief that never left him. Although he had 2 children, Michael and Deborah, the generation gap and his privacy made their relationship cold. As he grew older, he became more reclusive, leading a secluded life and avoiding publicity. On July 8, 2011, Robert's Blossom died at the age of 87 in a nursing home in California, suffering from cerebrovascular disease. He passed away quietly, without fanfare or applause, leaving behind only a few personal mementos and a modest net worth of about $1 million. Catherine O'Hara's a Kate McAllister. At the age of 36, Catherine O'Hara played Kate McAllister, a devastated and desperate mother who lost her son in Home Alone 1990. Her anguish, love, and longing for their reunion on screen touched the hearts of millions around the world. 2 years later, at the age of 38, she returned in the film Home Alone 2: Lost in New York 1992, again leaving an indelible mark in the hearts of generations of viewers. But behind the spotlight and the constant applause, O'Hara's private life hid a dark side that few knew about. Catherine Ann O'Hara was born on March 4, 1954 in Toronto, Canada, into an Irish Catholic family of 7 children. She grew up in cramped conditions and with little space, always feeling like a quiet and lost voice in an overcrowded family. Because of that childhood, she felt lonely, even when she was surrounded by people. As an adult, O'Hara seemed to find stability when she met designer Bo Welch. They got married in 1992 and have 2 sons, Matthew and Luca. But happiness did not last forever. After 24 years, the marriage ended in a bitter divorce, leaving O'Hara with a void that never went away. The breakup of the family happened at a time when she was facing harsh criticism from Hollywood. The calls dwindled, the scripts dwindled, and the silence on stage led to long, sleepless nights, staring in the mirror and asking, "Does the audience still want me?" It was a time when she was depressed and lonely, and the fear of aging hung over her like a suspended sentence. Now Catherine O'Hara is 71 years old. After all the pain and suffering, she chose a quieter life, devoting herself only to projects that are truly important and devoting the rest of her time to her children. His net worth is estimated at $10 million and consists of a luxury home in Los Angeles and an apartment in New York.